All right. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday night. Going to talk about road trips tonight. We have our fancy little box here with our faces in it. That is Darley from Travels with Darley. I'm Bill from Bill on the Road. And you're in New York City. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. Hope you had a good day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the weather was beautiful here yesterday, raining today. What's it like out there in the Midwest?
It's actually beautiful. We had the wet weather yesterday. I think we've got some coming in tomorrow. No snow or anything like that, thankfully, at least down here. But yeah, a lovely day and a great day to be thinking about road trips across America as we gear up for. I said gear up. A lot of folks are already hitting the road. They're out doing the spring break thing, but folks are planning for later in the spring, of course, and then summer travel, even fall travel. People thinking about road trips, and we thought we would come on and join you and share some of our favorite road trip experiences. And I know Darley's done. You don't actually drive very often. You live in New York City, so you don't have to drive as much as some of the others. You have driven a car. I mean, but
I just did a road trip the other week up to the Adirondacks and
that's right.
drove through some treacherous conditions on the way there. It was like the snow was just being thrown across the road as I was driving through, so that was really interesting.
Is
But
that
yeah,
really
like
how you drive the car? Because you hold your hands like in the grandma driving the to you. That's
yes.
tough to be thrown back into learning how to drive a car again in the snow and the ice. That is pretty tough.
Well, in New York, we don't have to drive that much because,
Right.
we've got great public transportation on a normal, and I have my scooter. So,
You do have a scooter. Maybe it'll make an appearance at some point in our chat tonight. But we're glad you folks are joining us. We do have the comments up if you want to jump in at any time. Share what your favorite road trip is. If you have a question, a comment of any sort, we'd love to hear those as we go through the evening here. And before we begin, Darley always likes to have some sort of a food or drink thrown into the mix. So you have what do you have?
well, I put one of my favorite road trip snacks together with alcohol. So I have some apple cider, which I got inspired the other day to pick this up. I don't know why. I just thought apple cider sounded really good right now. And this is supposed to be a European style. So I have a European style cider that I have sprinkled with one of my favorite road trip snacks and flight snacks, which are Lifesaver gummies. Fantastic. Give me a shout out if you like gummy bears or Lifesaver gummies. Those are some of my favorite things. So they are in this drink. It's probably like really, 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 really sweet now.
Well, and we should probably point out maybe not the best drink for a road trip. Just we got a full disclosure there. I don't need a lawsuit. I have now. I don't drink, so I should be good. I've got the for my snack, and that's a little close. Let me back up. I just found this yesterday, Darley. This is not a joke. There's a store. I don't know if you have them in New York City. It's called Aldi. Some people say it's Aldi's, but those people
We
are
have,
wrong. It's
yes.
Aldi. Okay, so you do. And I found these. These are amazing. If the folks at let's see, Savants, I can't read that. Savarit, whatever. If they'd like to send me a case of about 100 of these, I'd gladly take them. They're fantastic, and they'll be a great road trip snack. My drink is not quite as exciting as yours. It's just iced tea, but I will give a shout out to. We're talking about great road trips. People who have done the 30A drive down in Florida. You've been. That means you've been to South Walton, and they gave me a nice little uh, tumbler here. So that's my beverage
Bill
and snack of choice tonight.
is representing hardcore over there. So
That's right. All right. Okay. Well, are we ready to roll? So we're going to talk about our favorite American road trips. So these would be um, uh, roads essentially that we would want you to travel on. And Darley is going to start first. And what's your first topic?
yeah, well, I picked a really good one for, kind of a year-round road trip destination. It's California's Central Coast Highway 1. And you're seeing some footage here of the amazing food options on this road trip. This Highway 1 is a long road, but as I did the Ventura to San Simeon part of the route, where you can end at Hearst Castle and go through Solvang. It has all these like amazing Danish architecture and Danish cuisine. You just saw them making something called Abelskiver, which is this amazing pancake like ball that they sprinkle with powdered sugar and jam. And it is so, so tasty. So I definitely recommend taking Highway 1 and really eating your way through this area. That's the Abelskiver. Look at that, Bill. Look at when they put that powdered sugar on there. It
Mm.
is so, so tasty. Really, really good. So this is a road trip that I like, and I'm here with a local in town because I'm always trying to meet the locals. We went to this restaurant where they filmed the movie Sideways. It's in the Santa Ynez Valley in Solvang. You can go sit in the booth where they actually did some of the filming. So a lot of kind of cool movie culture there. And this is another bakery I recommend. It's a lot of small businesses are in this area that are the female owner and a chocolate shop that's really good. And yes, Jan's saying this is an amazing drive through California. It really is. And Solvang's just one of the places. You're going to see footage now from Ventura, which I also really liked going there. This restaurant just changed the name, by the way. It's not the Rum Line anymore, but it's still there, and you can eat by the water and then go get ice cream in a fish cone, and walk down by the water with it. So
I'm
really cool
surprised you
place.
don't do a food show like that. You should be on the Food Network because every time I see you on television or even here tonight, you get it's all about the food.
Well, this is all like this is Morro Bay, where they have these amazing oysters, and they do grilled oysters and fried oysters, and you can go out in the water and see how they're harvesting the oysters. And this I recommend too. This is up at the Elephant. This is a sanctuary where they have these elephant seals that are really, really vocal. And if you're doing this trip, I recommend going down there. You can zone out a little by the water as you hear these very vocal elephant seals. And this is right by Hearst Castle. Have you done this trip, Bill,
I
along the
haven't,
coast?
and it's funny you say that because later this year I'll be driving in that direction. So it may be if it's open when I go out there, that might be. I was actually gonna text you earlier today and ask because I saw this video if those were sea lions or seals. I know there's a specific way to tell the difference between the two, but I can't remember. Do you
These
remember?
are elephant seals, and then this is more footage from Morro Bay. You can go kayaking here. Morro Bay Rock. It's supposed to be like the Gibraltar of the Pacific. It's just really, really beautiful. I mean, California is beautiful in general. I know why so many people want to live there. If you're from California, you live in a beautiful state. So many natural wonders. I mean, there's a lot of outdoor adventure stuff you can do. This is the Los Padres National Forest, where you can go hiking right off of Highway 1. This is Cerro Alto, which is a very high peak where you can see, oh, just the most amazing scenery. And it does get very dry, though. I definitely recommend bringing your water and not the types of drinks that I'm having with you tonight with my apple cider. You definitely want to bring Bill's cup and fill it with water.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that California, as beautiful as it is, just the traffic is so crazy. So give yourself a little extra time and plan for that if you want to be able to take some time out and stop along the way. And that's cool. All right, are we on? Are we?
Yeah.
Is it my turn now? Do I get to share one?
So if you guys are joining us, Bill and I are going back and forth on some favorite road trips, and we definitely want to hear about yours too. So if you're joining in, give a shout out if you have questions. We're happy to try to answer them because we're talking about road trips, and I just did California, one of my favorite, along Highway 1. I'm wearing my Santa Monica t-shirt. You can go to Santa Monica on this route if you're coming out of LA. So Bill, what do you got for me?
Well, first of all, I don't have any video for this, but I wish I did because this what I'm about to share with you here. This is the well, you don't take it from me, Charles Kuralt, who you obviously would know who that is, one of the great travel broadcasters of all time, called this next trip the most beautiful drive in America. And I only heard about that actually after I had done this myself. And what I'm going to tell you about the Beartooth Scenic Byway, which begins in Billings, Montana, or can begin, I should say, in Billings, Montana, just outside of Billings. And And it runs through Montana and then Wyoming, and then it'll take you into, I believe it is the north entrance of Yellowstone National Park. And it is, darling, it is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And when you're standing there, I don't know how well this translates through the screen, but the colors that you see while you are standing anywhere within this drive, you feel like you are on another planet. It's just absolutely beautiful. It can take you an entire day because what will happen is you will stop every few minutes and you'll want to take pictures and you'll want to just check out it just seems like every few minutes the landscape changes and you're up really high and it's just absolutely amazing. A lot of people, if you like to ride motorcycles, this is an amazing place to do motorcycles, but you don't have to be in a motorcycle. I did this trip with my dad maybe 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Honestly, it's unbelievable. And I tell people about this. I'll say, go to the Beartooth Scenic Byway. It's unlike any place you've ever seen on Earth. And when I suggest this, whether it's at a library event or on the radio or whatever, people will follow up and they will say, "You're absolutely right. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's so cool." So again, it's called the Beartooth Scenic Byway. Again, starts just outside of Billings. I think the town is Red Lodge, actually, where it gets started. And it'll take you into Yellowstone. But it's planned for an entire day to do it. And I will say, not to give a shameless plug here. Oh, yeah, I will anyway. It is one of my 100 things to do. I feel like the Sham Wow guy. Give it the 100 things to do in America before you die. The Beartooth Scenic Byway is absolutely on there. So there you go.
That looks awesome. I would love to do that.
You would absolutely love that one, Tom. All right.
So that's a summer trip, obviously, right?
Yeah, don't show up in February and try to. Actually, I think in September, to be honest with you, I think it's about the cutoff because the weather, yeah, it just gets to be too cold and they shut it off. And even in the summertime when you're doing that drive, at times when you hit certain elevations, you'll see snow. I mean, even in July at times. So yeah, definitely check ahead check the weather before you do read that one. All right, your turn.
Well, I thought I would take you guys to Utah. Highway 12 is a beautiful scenic byway. And if you like national parks, this is a really good one. I actually did this filming for my equitrekking series on PBS. And what's cool about this trip is we started in Bryce Canyon and drove. You can see me talking about it on there, but I drove.
There's a giant steering wheel.
I mean, look at this. This is canyon country. The diversity of the scenery that you're going to find here is just beautiful. It's red rocks, it's canyons. You go over Big Boulder Mountain, but you're going from Bryce Canyon National Park. It's about 120 miles, and you're going to end your trip if you do this whole thing at Capitol Reef National Park. And that's a park that I absolutely love and I think is really underrated. I mean, people know Bryce Canyon. You're seeing Bryce Canyon and the beautiful hoodoos here. By the way, you can horseback ride in both Bryce Canyon and in Capitol Reef National Park because I actually went riding in both places and highly recommend it. Bryce Canyon's more of the meandering, scenic ride. You're not going to be like necessarily galloping through there, but if you go down to Capitol Reef, you could do some faster riding. That's some of the footage you're seeing now. There's a Mormon history here. There's histories with Butch Cassidy and outlaws. So really, really fascinating place. And if you love national parks and state parks too. There's a lot of state parks in the area and also the Dixie National Forest. So you can do state parks, national parks, and the national forest in one trip. And it's really a beautiful place. This is a good one if you love the outdoors. And as you know, I love being outside and a lot of people that have watched my shows over the years do too. So I definitely recommend Utah and this scenic byway.
Yeah, and it might be worth pointing out also that this spring and summer, and really all through the pandemic, the national parks have been full of people, and I think a lot of folks forget about the state and local parks when they travel as well. And some of these state parks in particular, I mean, just here in Missouri where I live, some of them are just, I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous and not quite as busy as some of the national parks are as well. So when you're planning your road trip, you might want to look into some of those state parks as well.
And the national forests too. There's national forest in really close proximity to a lot of urban areas. If you're on LA, the Angeles National Forest, If you go up on California's Central Coast, the Los Padres National Forest, got the Dixie National Forest down on Utah, this Highway 12. So lots of really, I love the national forests too, because I film in a lot of national forests, and there's so many awesome adventures. So you're right, Bill. Look beyond the national parks to some of these other places, especially this summer, because I think it's going to be busy out there this summer coming up.
Yeah. Did I hear you say you're right, Bill? Did I get that on tape? Do we have that on tape?
Yeah.
Have that for the
Cheers.
record. All right. Yeah, keep drinking. Now we showed Darley behind the steering wheel. Now you're going to see me driving for just a moment here. This is the Great River Road.
Ooh.
Now, for those of you that live in this part of the country or in the Midwest, and I'm going to step on Darley's toes just a little bit here because I know she's going to talk about some Route 66 stuff. But if you are in Southwest Illinois and really anywhere along the Mississippi River, you can find the Great River Road, and you'll see some amazing scenery, lots of really cool little small towns up and down, of course, the Mississippi River. I recently did a presentation for the Missouri History Museum, and they let me come on and talk about all of these cool little towns that are up and down the Mississippi River. But when you're in this particular part of the Great River Road, you go through Alton, Illinois, which has the great, great history, Lincoln Douglas, of course, and there you're seeing downtown Alton. But just some of these small little towns, and here's a little cool soda fountain in one of the little towns, and then the views, of course, and you'll see all sorts of. If you're a birder, I'm not one. I don't go out there with the binoculars or whatever. But if you do and you love watching eagles and all sorts of wildlife, you'll see some amazing views. And again, just it's so peaceful. Driving up and down the Great River Road, and the sunsets are beautiful, and it's one of these things that it's not going to cost you a fortune either. I mean, the towns are really small, like I said, in between stops along the way. And I believe it's also in my 100 Things to Do in America Before You Die book, because it's just a fun trip. And so you can do it in sections, of course. I know, is it weird? I don't know. I don't remember. I wrote this like 4 years ago. I don't remember what's in that book. But Great River Road, in particular, I mentioned Alton, Illinois. It's about 45 minutes north of St. Louis. A lot of great history, cool restaurants, nice people, but it's beautiful. And some great state parks along the way as well. So Great River Road, that's the number 3 on our list here.
I wanted to go there when I was in Illinois, so I saw you had a lot of Lincoln stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anywhere in Illinois, they love to claim Lincoln. If Lincoln used the bathroom in some restaurant, it's hey, Lincoln stopped here. I mean, it's everywhere. But Alton in particular, they did the Lincoln Douglas debates where they stood there, and I believe each gentleman got 1 hour to speak. And then they debated against one another. But out there in the open, they have the town square where they did that, and there's a lot of other history and stuff. But yeah, it's a cool area, and especially this time of the year to do a drive. Be great if you have you can put the top down on a pretty day around the river.
Well,
and I don't.
That's what I was able to do during my Illinois experience, which is my next pick on Route 66. And this is the amazing car that I was able to drive briefly around this track. And then it was actually very hard to drive this car because it wasn't power steering. So I was like, okay, I'm going to actually be a passenger on this because we're filming it. And I really don't want to crash this beautiful 1962 Buick Skylark convertible. But what an amazing car. This is at the Joliet Speedway. Hi, Brian. Thanks for joining. This is at the Joliet Speedway. And so you can get on Route 66 in Chicago, and it's only about the route that I'm talking is in total only about an hour and a half. But it is part of historic Route 66. So I mean, if you're going to have a couple of days, you can do this trip. And the thing that I liked about it is the number of museums, the great food stops along the way, because of course I had to stop and eat and drink. And also I thought it was really neat because there's some surprising things to do for outdoor lovers. This video I have on my new YouTube channel, which everyone should go to and subscribe at Darley Newman. Bill.
I'm
um,
subscribed. I'm subscribed.
it outlines some of the things that you can do along this stretch of Route 66. There's Nellie's. This is the Polka Dot Drive-In, which has really good burgers and milkshakes and has all this kind of Betty Boop, and you've got Elvis and the Blues Brothers stuff going on. I mean, this is the perfect drive to do in a convertible. I, of course, had a local showing me around, Debbie Jo Erickson, and she took me by the Rialto Theater, which is this beautiful historic theater that you can go see a show at, or maybe stop by and just see the architecture. But this theater is still functioning today, which is interesting. It's one of those old vaudeville theaters, and they've got, all of, there's Jerry Seinfeld's signature. I went down, Huey Lewis down into the basement, and definitely recommend also going to get some ice cream at this place called the Rich and Creamy in Joliet. So there's lots of really cute stops. If you want to combine outdoor adventure, this is us driving into Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie, which, Bill, is a national forest site in Illinois, and they're actually restoring a lot of the tallgrass prairie here. They've got bison, which is very unique. You can do horseback riding, hiking. There's a lot of history in this tallgrass prairie as well. But this is one of my favorite trips if you're going to do a road trip. And I haven't done a lot of Route 66, but I really like the stretch because there is some of that history and there's historic sites along the way.
And I may have mentioned this to you, but I'm doing the rest of Route 66 out to California later this year. And it's been fun planning some of that stuff. And, I'm a sucker for roadside attractions and things like that. So Route 66 is perfect for that. You want to take a couple? There's a couple of comments coming in here. If you want to address these, this is from Tim. See that?
Tim, thanks for stopping by.
Here's Tim.
Tim's off for 3.5 years, so got to enjoy that area while in the military. Oh, Utah's so beautiful. I mean, wow, 3.5 years, you probably can't even see every that there is within.
And Aaron is joining us. Natural Bridge State Park in Virginia. Well, that's good. Here we have Jan. Great Smoky. Oh, well, I'm about to mention this in just a second, Jan. The Great Smoky Mountains. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. You've been to the Smoky Mountains, I'm sure. It's beautiful. You lived near there for a while, not too far from there.
I did, and I used to go to summer camp when I was a kid up in those mountains, and I actually really love that area. That area is beautiful. I was in Hendersonville, Tuxedo, and then also going to Asheville. Thanks for joining Veronica. Joined from Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie. She's an expert, you guys. If you ever are going to Midewin and need advice or help, she definitely can fill you in. And Brian's saying that he enjoyed my St. Louis area episode. Yes, Phil, I have one as well.
She didn't say hi to me when she was in St. Louis, but that's okay. We'll have to hold that against her. Let's talk about now, since we were just talking about the Smoky Mountains in that region. One of my favorite drives has to be the Blue Ridge Parkway. And it, again, just absolutely beautiful, and a place where, we take pictures. Oh, this actually is a pretty decent picture. You can see the fog coming up. This is in North Carolina somewhere, but the pictures never do it justice when we take pictures of anywhere within the Smoky Mountains or anywhere in that region. I mean, I remember for years and years seeing photos of the Smoky Mountains and throughout North Carolina along this drive, and you think, oh, well, that's nice, and then you get there and it's, oh my God, like, it's unbelievable. So yeah, this is a shot along the Blue Ridge Parkway. It'll take you all the way up to the Shenandoah National Park. And what's also cool is they don't allow big trucks, okay, along that. So you don't have to worry about some big truck, riding you as you're trying to just kind of take it slow. And the speed limit's 45 miles an hour, so you get to kind of go slow and soak up the views. And what I love most, I know Darlie is a daring person as well, so that probably doesn't freak her out, that photo there. It does. I posted this yesterday online, and people were like, there's no flipping way I would get up there. But this, do you know what this is, Darlie? Do you know?
Is that Chimney Rock or Blowing Rock?
Very good. It's Blowing Rock, North Carolina. And so the Blue Ridge Parkway will run you into Blowing Rock, North Carolina. You can get there by taking it, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful town. I went there, I think, 2 years ago for the first time, and people are just so nice, so friendly. Really cool. You like this places to eat, of course, but just the scenery. I took my. I wish I had taken. I couldn't find the drone footage that I took, but I had the drone up for like half a day, just taking great photos of the mountains and over the forests and stuff and the hills. But that is the Blowing Rock. That is the namesake of the town there. And there's a long story behind how it got the name and everything. And you can go and you can visit, and they got a neat little museum there, and you can. I guess they'll let you take that same photo if you're brave enough. I did have somebody watching out just in case I fell, so they could call the news or whatever you do when that happens. But it's yeah. So the Blue Ridge Parkway, absolutely gorgeous, great view, and that's going to be in the eastern part of the U.S. of A. You've done the Blue Ridge Parkway.
I have, and I would love to do that this summer. I mean, that would be a great summer trip. And also, I would tell people if they're going to do that to maybe make a little detour and go to Cherokee, North Carolina. It's really interesting. They have a summer show. You can go to a village and learn about the Cherokee culture, the Eastern Band of Cherokee. And I think that's another thing that is sometimes overlooked. And there's some cool shops there too if you're looking for kind of handmade goods. I'm not a huge shopper, but I like to find unique things like that when I'm traveling, and those are great gift items, I would say as well. And I think, there's so many great tips and things that we can share with people as far as road trips go. I'm sure, Bill, you've learned a lot over the years, and if you guys are joining us and you have tips for road trips, put them in the comments because I'd be interested to hear what people's tips are. I mean, like one tip I would just say in general is if you're going to go to an area where you think that you're not going to have a signal, to be prepared for that. Because I've been by myself driving through like West Virginia, an area lost my connectivity, and I've thought to myself, wow, it's good that I do have a paper map just in case. I do have things that and make sure your battery is charged on your phone, or you have a backup battery power, or you can charge it in your car. Just little things like that to keep in mind to have a safe road trip experience if you can.
Right, yeah. And don't have T-Mobile. That would probably be a big help for you as well. They're always notoriously bad, from what I understand. Yeah, you're right. And it's funny. I'll do presentations occasionally, and I will ask people if they have questions about my road trips or experiences or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, nobody wants to ask me. They want to share their own road trip experiences, and so these are just they're so personal for people when they travel, and they have great memories, and people love to share them. So I'm excited that it looks like we're turning a corner here, and that people are going to get back out on the road and get to make some of those memories. Now I'm excited about your next adventure here because I have done this, and I actually thought about this is one of mine, but you stole it first. But that's okay because you have video and I didn't have any video. So
you did Shipwreck Coast in Michigan as well?
Well, I did throughout the Upper Peninsula. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
and this is a specific it's an 80-mile stretch that goes along Lake Superior. It's
Yep.
really, really like you did it. I love this trip because look, here I'm on the beach. I'm actually at Point Iroquois Lighthouse right now, and what's unique about this area is that you can actually get up close to lighthouses. I mean, usually we think of lighthouses as being out in the water and these hard to reach places, and here you can actually step inside. You can get out there and get the views, and you can go to there's museums. This is a cemetery where a lot of these people that have perished in these shipwrecks are buried. And I just think that it's so neat to be able to see places like this. This is just, I mean, isn't it beautiful? And this I love. Did you go to
Oh
the
yeah.
state park
Oh yeah.
hike?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you hit
It's
there's a
unbelievable.
brewery there, this brewery that's known for its local beer. I had a blueberry beer when I was there that was really good. And I definitely think that that's a neat local stop, and it's right by that cool waterfall. What did you think of this trip?
Well, so people might be surprised to learn that the state of Michigan has, and this is a ballpark figure, of course, but about 300 waterfalls within the state of Michigan. 99% of them are in the Upper Peninsula. So I did, you know what? I do have a video on this. I'm so ill prepared. Darley's so much better at this than I am. I always think about stuff after the fact. But yeah, so I went and I had 3 days. That's all I had. And so, but I started on the west side and then went east and then wrapped back around the Mackinac Island Bridge there, and then came. But you wanted to see as many waterfalls as you possibly could, and what's really neat about it is you can hike to all of them, but a lot of them they've put in little parking lots, little place where you can pull off, and they've made it as easy as they possibly can to get you as close to as many of them as they possibly can. Yeah, a lot of them, you do have to hike quite a bit. I think honestly the longest hike that I did to get to one was like 3 miles or something. I mean, it wasn't horrible. But it's amazing. And Bond Falls, if you want to look this up, that was probably my favorite. I don't know if you did that one or not, but it's, oh my
No.
gosh, so cool. And I can't wait to go back. A great time to go. You may agree with me or not, I don't know, but about September, because once all once most of the tourists for the summer, people with real jobs, they're back and they're not there, and so it's a little less expensive on the hotel side, not quite as busy on the roads, and at the waterfalls themselves and on the hiking trails, they're not quite as congested. But that is one of the great road trips. You're absolutely right.
Did you go also to the Sioux Locks when you were there? Did you get to check that out?
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty. And then what was the other thing I did? The oh gosh, the shipwreck. Which one was that? The what?
There's a, I think the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum.
Yeah, but what was it? The Fitzgerald. What was the famous one that crashed or sunk
Yes,
or whatever?
Gerald.
Yeah,
Yes, I had that in my video. You saw like a little bell because I actually visited that as well. It
yeah.
was in
That was no.
Edmond.
That is one of the great road trips of all time. You bet. Okay. Oh, okay. It's my turn. This is the last one that I have here, and this is I just did this, or I just did part of it. I bet I've done maybe 3 or 4 times. I've done portions of this, and there we are in the great state of Mississippi, birthplace of America's music. And Mississippi, about I don't know 6 years ago, started what's called the Mississippi Blues Trail. And what's really great about the Mississippi Blues Trail is they have gone along all throughout the state of Mississippi, and they have found or highlighted, I guess, many of these important places. And, in the case we're looking here at the birthplace of Elvis, exhibits, homes, whatever. That have ties to American music, and whether it's blues music or rock and roll music or whatever. And you can go along and you can find all these places. Now, some of them, they're just, you're just going to find a placard and it's going to say this happened here, whatever. But a lot of them are attached to either physical buildings. There's a place down in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi that I love called the 100 Men Hall, and I don't have a photo of it up here, but essentially, it's maybe 2 blocks up from the water, and it was wrecked during Hurricane Katrina. A couple came in and built it back, got it the way it used to be. But what's interesting is the people that bought it, they had no idea the history behind the building, and so they just thought it's a cool little dance hall. And so what happened was while they were building and renovating or whatever, locals started popping in and were curious and said, "What do you know about this building?" And they're like, "Oh, no, it's a dance hall, right?" It's like, no, 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 no. Etta James performed here. Ray Charles performed here. Ike and Tina Turner came through here. All these great musicians who would perform along the southern coast and would make their way through the towns, and they came through so that one's the 100 Men Hall, but there's all sorts of really cool things all around Mississippi. Here you see here birthplace of the blues. It's a plantation that's well preserved. You can go and you can tour that as well, but that's a neat one. And then the Highway 61 Gateway to the Blues Museum. This is their visitor center in Tunica, and it may not look like, well, actually it's awesome. The marquee is awesome, but make the time to go inside. This is, and I've been to a lot of museums like Darley has. This is a really really well done museum, and it'll tell you the history of the blues. It has a lot of one of a kind artifacts, and what's really neat, Darley, you can make your own blues record. So they've got a little recording studio in there. They got a little
Very.
recording studio in there, and you write out your lyrics on like one of those dry erase boards, and then you like hit a button, and then you're on, and you record it, and then you can send it to yourself later in an email to have. So yeah, it's a really cool experience.
That's
So it's the
very
Mississippi Blues Trail. They've got a website that points out all of the different stops, and honestly, they're not all in Mississippi. Some of them extend to other states as well, but the bulk of them are going to be on Highway 61 and throughout the state of Mississippi. So if you're a blues fan, you want to check that out.
I would love to do that one. I'd love to go to Mississippi and do that trail. I'd love to go to Tennessee and experience more of the music history and scene there as well. I think that would be fascinating. This looks awesome. I'd love to go to
It
that
is
museum. I don't
so cool.
know if they want me to make an album there, but
Well, you don't make an album. You make your 60-second blues song, and there's a whole, there's a science behind it, and it was. I did it. I don't know where the song went, but yeah, it's a fun experience to have for sure.
I wish you had brought that to our live. That's
Yeah,
what we
that
should
ain't
be
gonna
watching. Right? You
ain't
guys
gonna
think
happen.
so?
Not gonna happen. All right, I think we have one more, maybe.
We we
Let's see.
do. I was going to share another one that Alaska is such a dream destination in general, and the Seward Highway. It stretches from Seward to Anchorage. It's about over 120 miles, but it's absolutely gorgeous. This is showing a couple of trips before this, and then it's going to go back into Seward Highway. But this is another great one if you want to take in beautiful scenery. And I mean, I definitely recommend checking out the Chugach National Forest if you're going on that the scenic drive. There's a great place to eat, the Exit Glacier Salmon Bake. If you want some of the best salmon you've ever tried in your entire life, they're literally bringing it out of the water that day, and you can have really great fresh salmon. I had it in Alaska, and it spoiled me because now when I try salmon in other places, I just can't get over the awesome salmon that I had at the Exit Glacier Salmon Bake. So I definitely would recommend that. This was in July, so you're seeing beautiful, wildflowers by the roadside. This actual road is pretty neat because you're also going to kind of crisscross the Alaska Railroad that kind of winds around it, so you can see trains going by if you're a train fan. A lot of people are, and it's a really easy drive. But again, the scenery all along the route is fantastic. This is one of the, I think it's the gymnastic highway sheep that go along the highway that you might also spot if you're lucky. And actually, when they're out, people are all pulling over and, of course, stopping to try to get pictures and photographs of these sheep as they walk literally along the sides of the walls out there, these cliffs right along the highway. So again, combining wildlife, combining great food, beautiful, beautiful Alaska scenery. A lot of people go to Alaska and they're cruising around on a cruise, but if you want to get out and do a drive, this is a really good one.
Yeah, I don't know that I can recommend driving to Alaska, but once you're there, you're gonna drive around. Not a joke. That's a long haul to drive all the way up to Alaska. Um,
Oh no, you definitely want to fly to
yeah.
Alaska, but
See,
then
that's so
if you
funny
do the
now.
drive, it's really neat. It's a good one.
Uh, well, I don't have any other. Let's see if we have a few more comments here. And let's see. So Aaron says, yeah, Michigan rather, is on the bucket list. It should be amazing. Let's see here. This is from James. 66 West is awesome. Yeah, so I'm doing some of these. Forgive me for looking away from the camera, but it's easier for me to read on this screen over here. Yeah, I'm not doing all of those things because I've been to the Grand Canyon and San Diego and everything. But yeah, Amarillo for sure, and I'm doing Santa Fe actually at your suggestion, Darley.
Yes. Oh, Santa Fe. Bill's gonna love it. I mean, I've been to Santa Fe a couple times now and filmed 3 episodes of my series Travels with Darley. Watch it on PBS, Amazon Prime Innovation TV, to see these episodes because these are all episodes I've done of the series. And Santa Fe, I've done 3 episodes now because I could go back and even do more. There's so much to do there.
Here we have one from Paula. Come to Chicago and see them where the musicians migrated to, like Muddy Waters. Yep, yeah, yeah. They all made their way up north, but so much of that music started down in Mississippi. But yeah, that's awesome. So, and we should probably point out that yes, you have the Travels with Darley television program, and you have people that follow you around and take your video. I'm a one man guy. I gotta gotta set up my own tripod and take my own photos, and you're
I
living
know
the big life out there. Just a,
selfie stick when you were sitting on the end of Blowing Rock.
that was not a selfie stick. That was a kind that was a kind passerby. But actually, now I've got it. I got it down to a science. I got you got Wi-Fi and timers and all kinds of stuff. We make it look like I got a crew following me along too sometimes. So, anything
Well,
else
if
you
you
can think of? If folks want to follow you, of course, travels with Darley. .com. Here we've got. Hang on a second. We got
It's
another.
actually
Oh,
darley-cuban.com.
I'm sorry. Uh, I got distracted by this comment. So this is from Brian. He said, "Check out the Stax Museum in Memphis. That place is. Have you been to that one? Have you been to that museum? That is amazing. And
I have
it's
not.
yeah. So the Stax Museum. Thank you, Brian. It used to be a recording studio. The recording studio is long gone, but in its spot, they've built the Stax Museum, and essentially, it's all about, obviously paying respect or homage to the recording studio that was once there. But it's just got so many great stories, and what's neat about at one time, and maybe to some degree still is, it's not the most vibrant neighborhood. There's a lot of poverty nearby. Aretha Franklin grew up nearby. A lot of these just amazing artists lived in this neighborhood. But what was really cool is during the 60s, when we had a time of strife, racial strife, whatever. What was really cool, the story is that when white artists and black artists would go into Stax to record music, all of that apparently just disappeared. And it was really cool hearing all of these great stories about musicians of all colors who would be in there and just rocking and rolling and making great music and making friends. And it's just a fabulous story, and some great music came out of there. And I mean, I'm trying to think. "Hold On, I'm Coming" by Sam and Dave, and I mean, there's so many great songs. And Darley's Frozen, just throw that out. Oh, you're unfreezing a little bit there on your end. But yes, thank you for the tip, Brian. That's a great museum, Stax Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. Sorry, I got a little excited there. I love that place.
I have not been, and now I'm really needing to go to explore more of Tennessee and Mississippi, it seems like.
Yeah, it's very cool. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. You're freezing a little bit on your end, but that's okay. You're lucky in that every time it's frozen, you've been frozen in a good spot. If I freeze, it's I'm making some goofy face or whatever. But again, you can follow her on Facebook as well. Travels with Darley. You can go to BillOnTheRoad.com or Facebook.com/Bill on the Road. Follow me there as well. I imagine Darley will be sharing some road trip adventures throughout the rest of the year, as will I. And we'll have to do this again, maybe with another travel topic sometime soon, if you're interested.
No, that sounds great. And yeah, no, thanks, Phil. This was fun going back and forth. I don't know if I'm frozen or not, but it was fun going back and forth on some of these road trips. Now I have some more ideas of places to go because this summer it's going to be all about U.S. travel, probably for me at least, for
Yeah,
a lot of us.
yeah, no, I agree. All right, stay safe on the road, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks. Good night. Thanks for watching.